Everyone knows the glorious story of the child born in a faraway manger. Well, this isn't that story.
So I've been having issues preparing for my next catch-up of the Best Picture nominees for this year. And I actually think it's appropriate that I'm wearing this shirt today, because eventually, I'm going to get to it in my next video. But I don't know, I've just been having a bit of writer's block that Animal Crossing definitely did not contribute to. Shut up. Anyway, I had decided to allow myself to just relax and try not to force anything, you know, just let the writing and the actual want and or need, depending on your definition of those words, to actually do any reviews. I just wanted them to come to me naturally, so I started with random stand-up comedy specials on Netflix, and then this little comedy caught my eye. So far, I had only seen a couple of episodes of Monty Python's Flying Circus, and I've watched The Quest for the Holy Grail many times, like way too many times. And so I just decided to pop on this one Monty Python film that showed up on Netflix, Monty Python's Life of Brian, and this was honestly the movie that I needed. And yes, I know it's a movie with my name on it. Believe me, it felt weird. Every single time that I heard the name, it's always weird whenever I hear somebody say my name in a movie, or if there's a main character with my name, I always feel extreme. Okay, I'm shutting that off now. For those of you who recognize that sound, that's Todd from BoJack Horseman. That's my text notification thing. But anyway, fuck, what was I saying? Okay, I was saying it felt weird every single time that I heard my name, especially during the main theme song for this movie. That was especially weird. Oh, and as usual, before I get into my thoughts on the film, I first want to remind you guys to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get better at button. There's one guy that I watch on YouTube who always says button the correct way, and I'm trying to get into that mindset because I kind of like it. It's kind of funny. Not to emulate him or anything, but also to emulate him at the same time, you know, because I'm basically, wow, I didn't think about where this line of thought was going anyway. I'm just gonna keep going. Just hit that subscribe button if you haven't already before, and usually here I give a disclaimer about my pro and con setup, but I don't think I'll be doing that in this video. Look at me, shaking things up you know. Wow, this is what happens when I improv, guys. Alright, let's just get into my review of Monty Python's Life of Brian. So, Life of Brian is a religious satire. It follows a Judea man by the name of Brian who is born on the same day as Jesus, literally a couple of houses down, and later in life, Brian is mistaken for the Messiah instead. This is definitely a difficult film to critique, review, whatever the best word is for whatever the hell I do on this channel, and that's because parodies and satires are fairly difficult to talk about in that kind of fashion, especially because a lot of the things in them, sometimes they're trying to be bad. Unless, of course, they are very bad to the point where maybe they were trying a little too hard, kind of like the later films in the Scary Movie franchise, or the spin-offs like Epic Movie and Disaster Movie, but, you know, I'll give this a whirl. Life of Brian is a film that, if you are fairly religious, this will most likely piss you off in many ways, because it is a satire of multiple things. It's a satire of biblical movie epics, a satire of organized religion in general, a satire of social conformism, just you name it, it has it. And there are many times where the film pokes fun at the idea of religion by showing those who choose Brian as the Messiah, when he clearly is not, and he outright says it multiple times that he's not the Messiah, and he doesn't care and just wants to be left alone, anyway, without the rant. But those who, quote, follow him are complete morons, and And pretty much all of them misunderstand anything that he's trying to say and just try to look for hidden messages in a basic sentence like him just saying, just fuck off. And there's even a scene where he discards something or loses something, and his followers will pick it up and just say, "Oh my God, it's a sign." You know, he's running away from them, and his sandal falls off. All of a sudden, the lone sandal in the sand, is a metaphor for so many things that none of his followers can agree on what it means. Hell, there's even a splinter group from this large-ass group. You know, they just start branching off because they believe something, like the sandal means something. And then there's this splinter group that, you know, the main person finds a gourd that, what was it, that Brian was given, and he didn't even want it in the first place, so he just gives it to somebody else. And so that ends up becoming what the sandal is for everybody else, and they just branch off. And it's absurd scenes like this that make this movie. And if you're familiar with Monty Python, then you already knew that that was kind of what you were getting into in the first place. I think where I especially started getting into the film was in this kind of Coliseum scene, where a few of the main characters, and let's be honest, everybody's a main character in any film when they're all being played by the same 5 guys. Which, again, this is Monty Python, what do you expect? And anyway, these guys are sitting in the Coliseum just bitching about the Romans and everything that they've pretty much brought into their land, even though later they'll say, like, you know, these guys are idiots except for this, and this, these things are cool, and also, yeah, we forgot about that. But basically, they're bitching about the Romans and how they just want to start an uprising against them, even though it's not really. And one of them just randomly says that he wants to be a woman. And even though there are, you know, a couple of his friends are really confused because he also says that he wants to have babies. And even after a short argument about how he could never have babies simply because he doesn't have a womb, very soon his friends accept it, and all of a sudden this character named Stan transforms, figuratively, into Loretta. And I've got to say, this film was way ahead of its time in regards to religion, but many other things with that including gender norms. Hell, I personally know people from my life who would not accept Loretta's, quote, life choice. And the film came out like 40 years ago, and sure, it was all a joke, but at the same time, the film feels like it was also meant to focus on themes of tolerance by showing both the positives of tolerance and the negatives of intolerance, and vice versa, and I actually think it did that very well. And I remember growing up hearing that this was a terrible movie. This was one of the worst Monty Python movies that they had ever made. And I actually see why a lot of people say that, because I grew up in the Bible Belt of the United States. I grew up in the South, and keep in mind, maybe there's a chance that I primarily like this movie and its contents because I recently started concluding that I don't fall under a religious label. I was raised Christian, but we didn't go to church enough to where I really practiced faith necessarily, so it was kind of easy for me to fall away from it. I'm still personally searching for where I land exactly, and I know this is getting personal now, but I'll go ahead and say it because I'm kind of proud of it. Where it stands right now, I mostly relate to secular humanism. And for those of you who don't follow labels like that, any heavily religious person would just call me an atheist. But I didn't just like the film because of, you know, what I guess you could say is an anti-religious tone. It's just a damn good movie, and well, it is just a damn good movie. Well made, in fact. I may even consider this a better film overall than Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and that's in my top 5 comedies of all time. I will definitely need to rewatch this a couple of times to see where exactly it falls, but I can guarantee it's at least top 10. Just easily, but may end up being a top 5 film. I can guarantee that much. Anyway, just moving on to why I think this is actually a really well-made film. The film is crafted beautifully, from the cinematography to the production design, and even just the writing, which again, it's Monty Python. What do you expect? Well, actually, no, never mind. If I remember correctly, I haven't seen The Meaning of Life in years, but I didn't really care for that one. I'd have to rewatch it again, because I haven't watched it in like 10 plus years, maybe? No, not 10 plus years. How old do I think I am? And this is definitely not a movie that you could make today. The speech impediment gags wouldn't fly, the sparse racial terms for Jewish people wouldn't fly, and they didn't even seem to fly back then, even. Especially not the fact that a main supporting character was a transgender character. And if you appreciate the older satires like Airplane or Blazing Saddles, or Life of Brian's predecessor, which was The Holy Grail, I think you'll get a kick out of this film. And if your religion plays a huge part in your personality and you're worried that this film might prove to be too controversial to you, I still recommend that you try your best to watch it. Just don't look at it as a film that's critical of your religion. Just look at it as a very absurd film right after, you know, not right after. What was the word I was thinking of? Shit, I just had a really bad brain fart. Again. As I usually do in these videos. Basically, this is an absurd movie where right after the film's quote-unquote messiah falls off of a building, he's only scooped up by an alien ship randomly, a bunch of shit happens, and then the film just goes on doing what it was doing before without ever even mentioning what happened again. And I think they did that. I think they put that in there on purpose to really show, listen, this is a satire on religion and that will piss people off, but hey, here's an alien just showing up randomly to show that this doesn't fucking matter. Because that's what Life of Brian is. It's just an absurd time, but a fun one at that. And again, I recommend this to pretty much anybody who needs a really good laugh during this time where most of us are self-isolating ourselves. Hopefully most of us are self-isolating ourselves. And where, you know, where a few of us, like us essential employees, have to show up to work and basically just suffer all day, and then you just want to come home and watch something funny. Just, you know, pop that in whenever you guys feel like. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my unusual ramblings and me changing up how I do the videos every once in a while. I'll see if I can work with that in the future, but it definitely felt a little weird. But anyway, once again, please don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, farewell until the next video, all of you casual moviegoers and movie fans alike, and keep on being awesome. And actually, I was going to say that I was going to go play Animal Crossing again, but I really need to do my review on The Irishman, so I don't know what I want to do anymore.
I have no idea how to breathe.